Friday. So glad that you are here. Welcome to our 30 Days Get Your Life Challenge. We have just been moving on, and it is day 24. And in today's session, we're going to be talking about getting an emergency fund. We're going to talk about what an emergency fund is, why you need it, and the best way or the easiest way to fund it. So, if that sounds like something that you would enjoy, I want you to go ahead and share that with everyone that may be watching. Also, say hello to me in the comments so that I can greet you. Hey, Comfort, thanks so much for joining. Hey, Lady Gwen, thanks so much for joining. Glad to have you all here. I want you to go ahead and share with everyone as well. Having a little trouble here, so that we can get jumping into our content on today. And so, wherever you're watching me from, whether you're watching from Facebook, whether you're watching from YouTube, or if you are trying to jump onto Instagram, where I seem to be having a little bit of difficulty right now, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. So, like I said, we're going to be talking about emergency funds, what they are, why you need them, and the best way to fund them. Now, here's what I want to also echo in your mind. I know sometimes when we talk about money, when we talk about emergency funds and getting all that together, a lot of people is like, well, emergency fund, well, sure, why do I need an emergency fund? Well, the pandemic taught us why we need emergency funds. I know there were so many people that either lost their jobs, and if they didn't lose their jobs, they got their hours cut during the pandemic. There's so many people that I know now that are going from the traditional corporate job and they're starting their own businesses. They didn't have anything to fall back on. So that's why having something to the side is necessary. And I want to undergird our talk today with the scripture, Proverbs chapter 21, verse 20. Proverbs chapter 21, verse 20. And I'm going to be reading this out of the New King James Version. And it says, "There is desirable treasure and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man squanders it." So if you are wise, there will be treasure and oil in your house. And how you do that is by making sure that you have what my parents used to call a rainy day fund, something that you have set aside, that if something happens, you won't freak out, that you won't go into debt, you won't be out of, sorts because you don't have any money to cover emergencies. And so let's talk about what an emergency fund is. It's just simply money that you set aside so that when life handles you or hands you these little emergencies, like your brakes going out, your tires going flat, you needing a new refrigerator, all those kinds of things that y'all know happen every single day. So that when those things happen, you have money set aside just for those emergencies. So you don't have to dip in your everyday money. And I can remember several years ago when I started, developing my own personal emergency fund. Um, it was almost several months after I started that I had an emergency. And y'all, the relief that I felt, because I wasn't worried about it. When you have a $400, $600 emergency and you don't have any money set aside, how many people in here would that throw into like a, oh Lord, who not getting paid this month? Especially if it's your car, your vehicle that you use to go back and forth to work, you got to get it fixed. So, but just having, hey, Coach Marlene, thanks so much for joining. Just having that money set aside, a whole sense of relief washed over me because I knew I had the money to cover that emergency. So, what I'm going to ask you to do for our challenge today is to get an emergency fund. Don't wait till you are at zero. Don't wait till an emergency happens and now you don't know what to do. I want you to start doing it now. And I know a lot of you are thinking, and you may be saying to yourself, well, how do I do that? How do I, with my limited budget, start an emergency fund? This is how I started mine. And I think it'll be easier for most people is to set aside a specific amount every week that you're going to put into savings. Hey, Daryl, thanks so much. So set aside that money every week. For me, I started out with just $25 a week. Now, I looked at, and we've been talking about this, and if you haven't seen any of our previous episodes where we're talking about money, or we talked about fix your money, fix your credit, and get a budget, I need you to watch those. So go on YouTube under the playlist that says Get Your Life 2021. Check those videos out. I knew where I had extra money at. I knew where I was wasting my money. I told y'all, for me, I was wasting money on food, eating out all the time. So when I cut back and did a budget for groceries, for eating out, all of that, then I knew I had a certain amount of money that I could put towards an emergency fund. So it was just simply $25 a week. That's only $100 a month that I was setting aside specifically to get my emergency fund together. And for all of my Dave Ramsey aficionados, one of the amounts that he says that you need to set initially is $1,000. So that was my goal, to get $1,000 somewhere in a savings account that I could access really quickly just in case an emergency came up. And I knew it'd take me a year with my $100 a month to fund my emergency account. That's if that's all I put in there. If I didn't do anything else, just that $25 a week would allow me to do that. Now, here's the thing. If you are like me, sometimes you procrastinate and sometimes you say, well, I put some in there last month, I'm going to skip this month. Me, knowing myself, knowing how I am, this is how I made sure that emergency fund got funded, is I automated the process. I automated every time I got paid, $25 would immediately come out and go into my savings. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to push any buttons. I didn't have to move any money. It just automatically went. And so for those of you that procrastinate, that sometimes you think about, well, maybe I will, maybe I won't. Oh, this shirt is cute. Look at these jeans. They're on sale. If that's you, I need you to automate it. Make sure that that money comes out of that your income weekly. If you get paid twice a month, make sure it comes out every paycheck and let it come out. Set it so that it comes out without you doing it. That's why I say automate it. Hi, Nashawn. Thanks so much for joining. Make sure you automate it so that you don't have to worry about it. You're not touching the money. The money is going to go straight from your paycheck and straight into a savings account. Second thing, if you want to make sure that you don't bother the money that you are putting into savings, this is something, because y'all, I had to trick myself. This is something that I would do when I initially started doing that. I'm a little more disciplined now, so I don't do this now. But when I initially started, is I opened an account in a neighboring city to the one I lived in. I started this 15, 20 years ago when I was living in Dallas. And so there was a neighboring city that had a credit union, and I opened a savings account in that credit union. And I had my paycheck, when I got paid, I had it automatically sent to that credit union. It was 30 minutes away. I made sure I did not get an ATM card to that. See how I dated myself? I said an ATM card. That's because that was before check cards were even out. They weren't out then. It was ATM cards. I told them I don't want an ATM card to it. I don't want that kind of access. So I knew that if I wanted to get money out of that particular bank, I would have to drive. And the 30 minutes that it would take me, I would have to think about, like, you really gonna go over here to get $20 at this bank? And by the time I even think about it, I just wouldn't do it. And so I trained myself to knowing that that money was not touchable. That money was not for me right now. That money was for me, the me in the future whose tire blew out that needed the money. The me in the future who had issues that happened at our house. If a refrigerator went out, if the air conditioning went out, I would have the money to do it. So that was how I was able to save thousands of dollars in that, was because I had money just automatically going to that account that I didn't have real access to. So you'll have to set up a system that makes it easy for you. Make it easy on you to save money. And that's how I was able to, like I said, save thousands of dollars there. And then once you get that $1,000, the next thing I want you to think about is saving 6 to 12 months worth of income. How much money do you make a year now? If you're making $30,000 a year, I want you to start with, I need to get $15,000 in an account, so that if we have pandemic part three, if we get laid off because something happens in the business that we work on or that we work for, that we are not in dire straits. That I know that if something happens to me, okay, I have this money set aside in this account, so that I know that I don't even have to worry or fret for a good 6 months to a year, because I have money set aside for that. How do you think you would have felt if something happened to you in the pandemic and you lost your job? If you knew you had $30,000 sitting up in the bank and that's what you made every year anyway, so that you could go a year to find the kind of job that you wanted, or to actually start the business that you always wanted, wouldn't that ease your spirit? Wouldn't that ease your mind? Like, okay, I lost my job, but I'm okay. We're going to be all right. Instead of saying, oh, Lord, what is us going to do? We don't have no job no more. Yes, Lady Gwen, reopen that account, because I promise you, nothing feels better than when life happens, y'all, because life always happens. We have to always put ourselves in a position just in case something happens, because just in case usually does happen. And if you are in position, if you have been working while everything was good, to be like that ant and not like the sluggard, and putting stuff away, because we know winter's coming. We got to put stuff away. And as of lately, God has really been stirring in my spirit. Get your stuff together. Get your money together. Stop playing around. Stop acting like you have all this time. Get your finances together. Get your money together. Stack your money. Be ready for whatever comes. Hey, Val, thanks for joining. So make sure that you are putting something aside. If you can do more than $25, I would say do more than $25. And this is another tip I'm just going to throw in for that, is most of us work jobs where our income is as such that you'll probably get a refund from the IRS for your taxes. Instead of spending all that money, like, hey, we going on a vacation, hey, we going shopping, take half of that money and put it in your emergency fund. Yes, Val, hear God. Take half of that money. Don't frivolously spend it. Put it in your emergency fund. So if you are putting money monthly to your emergency fund, and then when you get extra money, birthday money, tax refund money, and you start stacking that emergency fund, then that money is going to pile up a lot quicker. And so here's what I want you to do too. Now we have this $1,000 that we've talked about earlier that we have in a liquid fund for just, things that happen. Tires go out, brakes go out. We can get that done. The 6 month to a year money in our emergency fund, I want you to put that in a different kind of vehicle. I want you to put it in an interest bearing vehicle, so that you can earn return investment on that money. So even as you are putting money in there, that interest is growing. And so that money is just snowballing, and it is building and building and building, so that you are building a little nest egg. Now, this is aside from your 401k. This is aside from all the other investments that you may do. But your little rainy day fund is looking really nice. So we're going to make sure that we are good stewards of God's money. And this is how we can now become a blessing, a blessing to people that God puts us in contact with. For a long time, and I'll say I myself, I haven't been able to be the blessing that I wanted to be in the body of Christ. And it wasn't because of God wasn't blessing me. It was because I was not being a good steward over what God was giving me. Now, I am nobody's millionaire, billionaire yet, but God has to start training me to do it now. you be faithful over a few, I will make you ruler over many. So I said, okay, God, I'm going to prove to you that I can be faithful over what you have in front of me. So this little bit of money that I have, I'm going to be faithful over. I'm going to steward it well so that you know that I can be trusted with more. So how you show God that you can be trusted with more is to be faithful over what he has already given you. So y'all, let's get these emergency funds started. Let's build them. Let's grow them. Let's teach other people, other members of the body of Christ how to do it so that we can really, y'all, we can really, really, really be the blessing that God has called us to be. I hope that you have enjoyed our little challenge on today to get this emergency fund started. And I'm prayerfully believing that if you haven't started it, that you will start it in the next few days, in the next week, whatever. And if you have already started, that this will be an unction for you to keep building on it so that you can have funds for whatever may come in life. And if it has helped you, hey, John C, thanks so much for joining. If it has helped you, I want you to share it with somebody else. We are on day 24. Can y'all believe we're on our 30-day Get Your Life Challenge and we're on day 24 already? Time is winding up. So make sure that you share this with somebody else. Also, I want to make note on day 30, which will be next Thursday. It's going to be a special, special day. I am going to be letting y'all in on a secret that I've been holding and I've been praying over and I've been hovering over with the Lord. I am going to talk about that on day 30. And so on day 30, we won't meet at 5 o'clock like we have every day this month. We're going to meet at 7 p.m. Every other day for the rest of the challenge through day 29. It's going to be 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern. But on the 30th, it's going to be 7 p.m. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that as we get closer. But I'm so excited about what God is doing and how he is blessing us. And I am prayerful that these 24 days have been a blessing to you. If you missed the other 23, go to my YouTube channel, Cheryl Thomas Speaks. Make sure that you look for the Get Your Life 2021 playlist and go through them, or you can go on my Facebook page and check them out there. I love you all with the love of the Lord, and I look forward to seeing you on tomorrow. God bless.